Hi, this is David Lockeritz with FindMyMusicTeacher.com. Today I'm going to talk about something that's not very exciting, but it's still important to know, which is how to change your guitar strings. I'm going to be changing the strings on my steel string acoustic. The procedure is a little different for an electric guitar or for a nylon string guitar, and if you're changing the strings on a 12 string, you have my sympathies. Before I actually change the strings, I'm going to answer a couple of questions I often get. First is, how often should you change your strings? Well, I always tell people that if you're not sure who was the president the last time you changed your strings, it's probably time. In all seriousness, I would say it's a good goal to do it every 2 months. The more you play, the more often you want to change your strings. I've known a lot of people change once a week or several times a week even. Lots of times you're going to find that the sound quality deteriorates, and especially on bar chords, you may find that you're fighting the strings to get them to sound good, and that's usually probably when it's time to think about changing them. Another question I often get is, should you take them all off at once and put them on all at once or one at a time? In my opinion, it's better to do it one at a time, because when all your strings are on the guitar, it puts about 200 pounds of pressure on the neck, and so releasing all that pressure at once might kind of warp the neck a little bit. I know a lot of people do it that way, but my opinion is that you should do it one at a time. And the last question is, what kind of strings? First of all, make sure it's for a steel string acoustic, not to be confused with nylon or electric guitar strings. And also, strings come in gauges, which are often referred to either by a number or by light, medium, heavy. Typically 11s are light, 12 is medium, and 13s are heavy. I myself like 11.5, which is kind of a tough gauge to find, but it is out there. And if you're finding that you're having trouble holding down the chords and getting them to sound good, you might want to think about switching to a lighter gauge. Okay, that taken care of, let's go ahead and start changing the strings. I'm actually only going to do my first string, my high E, in this video, because watching me do the other ones will be like watching paint dry. So here's the first one. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm unwinding from the top. There are little devices that you can do that kind of help with the cranking, but if you're just doing it with your hands, you just got to do it over and over again, and before too long you'll get to the point where you can just sort of slip it off the tuning peg, and I'm almost there. Let's see. Yep, there we go. All right, get out of there. There we go. Okay, now down here on my bridge, I have these jammed in there. Sometimes you can just yank them out with your bare hands. You can also use pliers. You can also sometimes even use car keys. All right, here's my new E string. By the way, if you just look at the two of them, I'm not sure how obvious it is in the video, but you can see that the one on top, the new one, is a lot brighter than the one on the bottom, which means that it also will sound better. Now, I'm going to put the peg in. Notice the groove on the peg. What I do is I put it down here, line up the groove, put my string on, and you notice here there's a little notch in the nut over there. Then what I'll do is I'll wrap it around the peg. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because you got to make sure that you hold it in place. Now, I've wrapped it around 3 or 4 times. Notice how I keep a firm grip on it with with my right hand. And then what I'll do is I'll hold it down with my left hand. You can sort of see it over there. If you're left-handed, you might want to do it the other way. And then I'll kind of thread the needle, slip it through the hole over there. Come on, work with me. So even when you've been doing this for 20 years, it can be a little bit tricky. And I'll pull it, and it should hold. There we go. Now, all I gotta do is start cranking the heck out of it. Now, strings that are new tend to go out of tune very quickly, so when I'm putting new strings on, I like to make sure I don't have to rush off immediately to do a lesson or a gig, and I just tend to rough tune them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna rough tune my first string, the E, and I'm gonna just go by, do it old school. Play up there on the 5th fret on my B string. So still a little bit low, but you get the idea. That's close enough for now, anyways. Now then, of course, you can cut the wire I'm kind of not really practicing what I preach there, because as any of my students know, I'm a little notorious about leaving my strings uncut long after I should. But hey, do as I say, not as I do, right? Anyways, hope you found this video helpful. Feel free to email me, david@findmymusicteacher.com, if you have any questions. Thank you for watching. Now go change your strings.